Hey everyone, since the release of Classic Burning Crusade, and especially over the last few months, there is a certain rumor, a saying going on through the Classic community, and that's the fact that Classic TBC might actually be dying. That's especially echoed by the fact that nowadays, more than ever before, we're seeing an increasing amount of dying or actually completely dead servers by looking at the raiding scene. On the other hand, another set of players is arguing that if we look at the total amount of players raiding today and compare that to Classic WoW, a different picture is painted. One that suggests that Classic TBC is in fact actually more popular than Classic ever was. So, where's the truth? Is Classic TBC actually shrinking and dying nowadays, or is it otherwise more popular than Classic WoW ever was? Well, what a lot of players don't know is that the website ironforge.pro actually archived all the numbers of active raiders ever recorded. And we can easily find the answer to our question by looking at that today. So without further ado, let's get into it. First and foremost, there's some huge disclaimers to give here before I show you any numbers. The website we're going to be looking at today is ironforge.pro. What is ironforge.pro exactly, and how does it actually work? This website has been running since September 30th, 2019, so 1 month after the release of Classic, and it has been doing one simple thing: counting up any single character that ever showed up on the Warcraft Logs website, every single week for the past 2.5 years now. If you don't know what Warcraft Logs is, real quick, it's basically a website that a vast majority of active WoW characters are recorded on. If you ever participated in a raid, dungeon, or arena match, chances are someone in the 40, 25, or 10-man raid you've been into has been recording logs of how the raid is performing and uploaded them later to Warcraft Logs to see how well your raid did. And that's basically how Warcraft Logs knows you exist, and by extension, the website we're interested in today, ironforge.pro. So cool. Anyone that ever participated in a raid, dungeon, or arena match is probably on this website. But that's about it. If you never set foot in a raid, never did a dungeon, or never participated in an arena, you're definitely not on this website. And that's a way bigger percentage of the player base than you may think it is. As of today, ironforge.pro is saying there's over 300k active raiders / PvPers in the world. Obviously, there's way more active players, period, of Classic WoW than that, likely millions. So you can see now the limits of this website. It simply will not count people who aren't raiding or doing arena, and that's a huge percentage of the player base that we're missing. But unfortunately, this website is the best thing we have to work with since Blizzard stopped publishing their subscriber numbers early in WoD. And for the sake of this video, which is comparison, this is totally fine. So, with that in mind, what a lot of people simply do is they go here, they click on demographics, and see the 310k active raiders on here. Then they click on Classic Archive and see that Classic had 215k active raiders, and conclude that TBC is more popular than Classic was. And they don't actually click on the big button that allows them to see everything. And not just the last week of Classic when Nax was on farm for many months and everyone stopped raiding. What some other people do is even more funny, because they look at the number of active raiders in TBC, they scroll all the way at the bottom of the server list and they see all these dead servers here, not realizing that Blizzard actually opened free server transfers just a couple months ago. And basically, anyone who was still stuck raiding on one of those dying servers already jumped ship. Not to mention the people that are actually paying to do that every day too, since paid server transfers were a thing since very early in Classic. So anyways, let's click on this All Selected Realms button and see the full aggregate data of active raiders and arena players since all the way back in September 2019 till this day. And this paints a very interesting picture, because here we can see how the Classic WoW raiding scene was doing all throughout the 1.5 years of the game, and then how it's doing now in TBC 7 months into it. I couldn't give you an exact average here because that would take way too long, but I think it's safe to say that for the majority of Classic's existence, there was about 350 to 400k active raiders. This peak that we see here, by the way, is the start of COVID, which makes sense. But you can clearly see that Classic has been losing more and more raiders throughout its lifespan, and by the end we're left with the number that players throw around everywhere, 215k. For TBC, I think it's safe to say that the average was around 340 to 360k through phase 1, but in phase 2 it actually dropped now to around 300 to 330k more like. But anyways, let's make all of this a bit more readable by dropping every phase of the game on here. Then let's see what those phases correspond to, and just for fun, let's also look at when the huge Blizzard debacle happened with the California lawsuit. Surely that had an effect on the player base, and a lot of people left the game because of it, right? Well, no, quite the contrary actually. So, my first assumption was that when a new raid releases, there would be a huge spike of raiders, but actually, that's not really a conclusion that we can come to. New phases sometimes do see a slight spike in raiders, but sometimes not. It all depends. What's for certain is that each subsequent raid always seems to have a bigger dip in players than the last one, which is interesting. So anyways, we can already come to a conclusion here. As I said, just looking at this graph and not using any accurate math here, Classic WoW had around 350 to 400k active raiders during its heyday, which was phase 2 and 3. Comparatively, Classic TBC had around 340 to 360k active raiders through phase 1, but in phase 2 it actually dropped to around 300 to 330k. If history holds true, Classic TBC, similarly to Classic WoW, should see less and less active raiders as time goes. Meaning, yes, Classic TBC is slightly less popular than Classic WoW was. I would say 10 to 15% less popular at most. But does this mean it's actually dying like a lot of people are making it out to be? Definitely not. As I said, I think a lot of players are seeing the huge amount of dead servers nowadays and assume that the game is dying, which is simply not true. A lot of players migrated to greener pastures either by using free or paid server transfers. If you look at the top servers in the world right now, there's a handful of what we call mega servers now. Servers with 15, 20 or even 25k active raiders. Does this mean the rest of the servers are dead though? No, just that there's fewer active raiders on them. I think another big reason too why people assume the game is dead nowadays is because basically no one big is streaming it anymore on Twitch. Big streamers like Asmongold, Sodapoppin, Quinn69 and so on all used to stream Classic back in 2019 very religiously. Nowadays, not so much. Not at all actually. So what happens is the public doesn't hear about the game as much anymore and assume it's dead or dying. I do have to admit though that generally when a category has a lot of viewers on Twitch, it does translate to that game being more popular in general. Not always, but in general. What's for certain though is that if you want to participate in any form of PvE, you should definitely jump ship yourself if you're in one of those dying or dead servers yourself. It's unlikely the situation is gonna get any better anytime soon, and even Blizzard is encouraging their players to jump ship by offering free server transfers. So either just wait for the next wave of free server transfers, or you can also buy one yourself. So again, is Classic TBC dying? Definitely not. Is it slightly less popular than Classic WoW was? Yes it is, and it is to be expected I think. Nothing can really rival the hype of Classic WoW in 2019 and 2020. Will the game get better from here in terms of players? Historically, Classic lost players through its lifespan, and we have no reason to believe that it's gonna be any different for Classic TBC. So yes, the game will continue losing players most likely, but it's definitely not gonna die. And in fact, if you're on one of those mega servers, for you, the game will feel more alive than it ever was during Classic. What happens on other servers is completely irrelevant to you. Each server in Classic TBC is completely isolated from the rest. Well, except in Arena and Battlegrounds of course. So as long as we have one healthy server to congregate to, Classic TBC will always feel super alive. And we have many nowadays, as you can see. And again, this data is to be taken with a grain of salt. It only shows active raiders. This isn't representative of the actual player base because there's more like millions of active players, either still leveling or just not doing any raiding or arena at all. And there's very few people that log dungeon runs. On top of that, this also counts alts obviously, so these numbers should be even smaller than they are. But a lot of players had alts in Classic too, so for comparison's sake, this still stands. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was definitely one of the most scientific videos we did, and I hope I did it justice, because it's a very important question to answer, I believe. We do a ton of Classic TBC on this channel, and also Season of Mastery, and sometimes other MMOs too. Phase 3 is gonna release soon in TBC, with Black Temple and Mount Hyjal, and we'll be doing a ton of content on that soon. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the Classic WoW Curios channel for more content like this. I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye for now.